All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 241, a very special St. Patrick's Day episode of the A15 Exchange. We've got the Champions League round of 16 ending. Who's going to the quarters? Liverpool. It has been a terrible week for you, but we'll talk about that. It is Selection Sunday when I'm recording this, all right? Selection Sunday, which means we have reached the end of the men's tournament, so we got plenty to talk about. It was a very good week for me, the boy. It was a very good week for the boy. All right, we got the broomsticks out. You know, we gonna talk about that. All right, we gonna talk about that and what to expect with the NCAA tournament coming up. Much Madness is here, and of course, entertainment, Invincible season finale for season 3. Conquest is here. We'll be talking about that. Of course, spoiler alert on that. But also, Playboi Carti dropped, so we do have to talk about music. It's literally called music. And yes, F1 is also back. So a lot of returns this week, I guess, now thinking about it. But yeah, F1 is back. McLaren's looking feisty. But we will talk about papaya rules then in the roundup. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as always, everything you're looking for can be found in my description. All right, everything you're looking for. Timestamps embedded in the video, as always, and also in my description. And my social media links. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to what we got to talk about here. And we're going to kick this off with Champions League. All right, UCL. First up, at bats, we're going to just cover a few of the games and we'll talk about, the quarterfinal matchups. But ladies and gentlemen, Real Madrid. Okay, Real Madrid and Atletico, the Madrid derby here in the second leg. And listen, Madrid put on, I feel like every time I do not watch Real Madrid and it's like a headlining matchup, they put out an absolute terrible performance. And for the first part of this game, honestly, you could say pretty much the entire game, it was dreadful. All right, it was absolutely dreadful. Atletico gets it, 1-0, 20 seconds. Gallagher scored like 20 seconds into the game, and Atletico's able to hold on. Real Madrid is just not able to generate any type of offense. Looked like they were out of ideas. Vinny takes a penalty in like the 77th minute, I believe, which... high pressure situation, big rival. I mean, Vinny is that guy. Don't get me wrong. Vinny is a superstar. Absolute superstar. Probably a top 5 player in the world, I think anybody would say. But you also have Kylian Mbappe. The same man we saw hit 3 of them boys in the world in the highest of orders. In the most pressure-packed situation you can have. Had 3 penalties that he scored. In a World Cup final. And, I mean, he's killing Mbappe. Maybe you give that to Mbappe. But they give it to Vinny. Vinny just has, it was a terrible penalty. Skies it. And we ended up going to extra time. And then we ended up going to penalties. And at this point, I was feeling real bad for Real Madrid. But they were able to come through. All right? They were able to come through. Big thanks, because Julian Alvarez, in what is a very controversial call, slipped and he made the penalty, but the ref caught it. All right, when Jules slipped, apparently his left foot came and hit, so he kind of double tapped it. It's called back. Madrid is able to get it over. Rudiger puts an absolutely horrible penalty, but Oblak is unable to save it. And that is that. Black magic strikes again. Real Madrid is headed to the quarterfinals of the UCL yet again. All right, just black magic. Absolute black magic. I don't even mean this in a disrespectful notion, but Atletico is really little brother. They're really Real Madrid's little brother. Like, it's such a big brother, little brother, relationship. Like, occasionally, you'll see it happen. And Atletico will get it done, right? They'll pull it off, they'll beat them, whatever. They'll have that success, right? Like a little brother might beat big brother every now and then. But then, when it comes down to it, somehow, some way, big bro always finds a win. And it's the Champions League, Real Madrid, Black Magic. It strikes here again against Atletico. Again, Julian Alvarez, again, some people couldn't even see that. He double tapped it. I did see it from the angle, but, crazy call to go out on. And yeah, Spafter's playing that second leg so well. So yeah, Black Magic, Real Madrid, back at it again. Mbappe spun back on the weekend, even though him and Andrew were very, very visibly tired in that game. He did have a brace. Probably could have had a hattie, but I digress. Mbappe, again, up to no good. 31 goals here in his debut season. Not bad for a guy who was washed, 6 months ago. Now, Let's talk about Mbappe's old team. Yes, PSG has just been such a better, which honestly, I'm not even surprised. I know a lot of people are like, yo, how do you get rid of Kylian Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar and you're a better team? They're a more balanced team. They still got a lot of great attackers, right? They went and got Guevara. They got Goncalo Ramos, who's already there, right? They've got all of this young talent. All right, Doué, who just got called up to France for the first time. All right, WZ, who we've talked about plenty of times. They got all of this great. PSG's academy is wondrous. Problem, maybe, honestly, you could argue maybe the best in France. I dare say. And now they are utilizing those resources, and it just seemed like it's a much more balanced team. And then, of course, the big thing here, and the big thing that set this up to send this thing to penalties against Liverpool, Dembele. Dembele has been a revelation. He has been exactly the Ousmane Dembele we expected all those years ago when he was a wonder kid coming up. This is who we thought he was going to be, and now we are seeing it. No injuries, no bench play at Barca. This is Dembele at the peak that we expected. Just scoring goals, beautiful play, making things happen, being the star man on one of the best clubs in the world. That is what we expected from Dembele, and that is what we are seeing finally. Maybe he was just a late bloomer, had to overcome this, but yeah, he's having an incredible season. Scores here and sends it to penalties, and then from there, Gigi Donnarumma, another former wonder kid. And Donnarumma, of course, has been a little bit better than, Dembele's situation. But Donnarumma just let his nuts hang. He let his nuts hang. He said, you know what? I'm Gianluigi Donnarumma, Italia's number one forever and ever and ever. I was starting at Milan at 16. I've been the hair for years. I'm gonna let y'all know who I am. He has a great penalty shootout versus Liverpool. Saved a couple there to get PSG to win, and they advance. And honestly, that puts some pressure on Real Madrid because people were making the joke of, imagine if PSG wins the Champions League the year after Mbappe leaves. How ironic would that be? And it still could happen. Liverpool's week did not get any better. Of course, they played in the League Cup today against Newcastle, and Alexander Isaac and the Newcastle boys put it on them. All right. Got the win 2-1. So yes, just a no good, very bad week for Liverpool. Crashed out of Europe, crashed out the League Cup in the final. It's just been a bad week. It's just been a bad week for them boys from Anfield. All right, horrid week. Champions League QFs, just to go through really quickly with what we got here. We've got Arsenal versus Real Madrid, which is going to be very spicy. All right, to say the least. All right, going to be very spicy. Honestly, all these matchups, I think we got a really good draw. I mean, PSG cashed out. Don't get me wrong. They got Aston Villa, which is not, in my opinion, I think everybody's opinion, the same Aston Villa that they've been. So yeah, PSG in a really good situation. Barca versus Dortmund. Can Dortmund break through the glass ceiling, or is Barca just gonna keep rolling? We will see there. Yamal was at Raw, and that was a big deal because people were like, "Yo, it's like the Spanish version of when young LeBron went to Raw those years ago." So yeah, cool moment there. Barca's been cooking, as we know. And of course, Bayern versus Inter. Of the Milan teams that's been getting the headlines, AC's been the one, but Inter's been the best. All right, and now they're getting Bayern Munich, who just dominated Leverkusen in the round of 16. So we will see what happens there, and if Bayern is cooping up for yet another Champions League final run. And like I said, Arsenal Real Madrid is going to be a prime time matchup. So yeah, we got some good stuff coming in April. Yeah, I think the next one will be in April. But for now, that was the Champions League. Let's talk about ENT. Yes, entertainment. Invincible. The best show on television. And unfortunately, it's off now because this is the season 3 finale. But nonetheless, all right, the best show on television. Prepare for my arrival, or stand for my arrival. Worm. Conquest showed up. Of course, spoiler alert. Fast forward to when I'm talking about Carti. All right, the big music thing will be right here where I'm pointing. So please skip ahead if you don't want to be spoiled. Listen. Whoever's watching this, if you don't want to get spoiled on Invincible, you haven't caught up, skip ahead. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, Conquest arrives, and it lived up to the hype. As someone that's read the comic, lived up to the hype. Even the scenes that they added, like the one that everybody's talking about where Conquest gets very vulnerable, which, I mean, completely in character. It was an amazing scene. Amazing scene. He's breaking down and he's like, I could be so much more, but they all fear me. All of the Viltrumites fear me, right? I don't get a name. I get a purpose. That is such a bar. I don't get a name. I'm suffering from my own success so bad, I don't get a name. I just get a purpose. Conquest. Oh my God. He was spitting. And then he said, take it to your grave. Oh my gosh. Nah, Conquest, listen, I had faith in JDM. I had a little bit of but I had faith in JDM. And he came through. He was great. He was great as Conquest. Everything I wanted and more. So yeah, he did a great job. It's just such a good episode. Such a good fight, man. The scale. He pulled the train, but just running through a city on Mark. Mark gets the snot beat out of him, but levels up a little bit. And of course, Eve, we find out, or I guess the rest of the world when it's read the comics, found out that of course she has those regenerative powers. So even when she dies, she can just kind of regenerate herself because her potential is kind of unlimited, right? She's like an ultimate version of Green Lantern, minus the ring. It's just her. So yeah, cool stuff from Eve holding her own and showing how powerful she could be. That scene where Oliver was literally getting ripped in half was so uncomfortable, but once again, so good, right? Because I know a lot of people typically, oh, Oliver's going to make the save here, but no, this is exactly what it would look like for the oldest, most dominant Viltrumite to show up in your little 10-year-old brother try to make something happen. Exactly. He gonna get slapped down. It was kind of like when Green Lantern, speaking of Green Lantern, in Justice League War, tried to pull up on Darkseid, and then Darkseid just swats him against the building, and he gets jumped by the parademons. Like that is exactly like that. That's exactly what that scene was like, and I loved it. But yeah, I'm going to miss the show. I am going to miss the show dearly. That was an incredible last 3 episodes to kind of go out on. And then, of course, we had the little villain montage plus Dark Blood showing up. That was not comic, so that was a little bit different. I guess Mark is going to go fight in hell or something. So yeah, nice little cool villains outro, kind of setting up stuff for season 4. And then, of course, Rex's funeral, which was very weird by Robot. But hey, everybody's not questioning it. So we will see what happens there. But yes, Invincible, best show in telly. What a season, man. What a season. Season 4 cannot come soon enough next year. All right, let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Everybody's talking about it. The highly anticipated music. 2025 music, 2024 music. It's gone by a couple different names, but it eventually just got called music. I'm talking about Playboi Carti's album, and he put 30 songs on this. So you already know where this is going. That is entirely too long. For an album. Unless this is like your greatest hits. That's entirely too long for a project. 30 songs is insane. I don't care how much time it ended up being. 30 songs is asinine. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Because Playboi Carti is not an artist good enough, respectfully, to go 30 for 30. You're not. It was never going to happen. There was going to be some filler on here and some absolute trash. And there was some absolute trash on this. But I did enjoy a lot. Most of the album I did enjoy. Okay? But I'm not going to sit here and meat ride. I'm not going to say I'm meat ride like the rest, I feel like, of the world. With Carti, I get him. But I still have to take him as he is as an artist. You know what I mean? I still have to take him. Like, I can't be like, yo, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Because it's not. It's not. A lot of this, let's keep it a buck, he's not this great rapper. He's not. And he's not even like, speaking of The Weeknd, who had one of my favorite songs on this, Rather Lie, he's not even this great, like, atmospheric, like, tone set world builder, in a sense. He's good at what he does, and when he does it well, it's a hit. But when he does it so much, in so many variations, it just sounds like some random, maybe produced well beat, because it's like a 50-50 at this point, and then him just making noises over it, and I'm not falling for that and being like, yo, this is the greatest thing I ever heard. I'm not going to say her meat ride. Alright? So I'm going to give this a clean 7.3, which I think is higher than I originally gave Whole Lotta Red. Which I end up liking a lot more than whatever I gave A Whole Lotta Red, which was very low. But I'm going to give this like a 7 point. I said 7.3. I'm going to give it 7.1. It's not great. It's not a great album. There's a lot of filter on this. You just kind of have to sift through to what you like. But there is some good stuff. I think he did a great job with the features. I think Kendrick was on this entirely too much, and I don't think Kendrick had his best performances, even though I get Kendrick was trying to adapt to Carti, but, it was hit or miss. Some of those Kendrick verses hit for me. That first one, I forget what the first song on the album with Kendrick was, did not hit for me. All right? It sounded like trash. But for the most part, Weekend popped off on this. Future came through. All the stuff with Uzi hit for me, right? Skepta, Toxic. That was a great track, right? Evil Jordan, even though he added and that was just solo Carti, even though he added that TikTok intro, Evil Jordan, still a classic. But for, I can only get us a 7.1. All right, entirely too long. He's not that great of an artist to do a project this long. I feel like I like Carti best as almost like a feature artist. He can body like a feature, do his thing, and I'm rocking with it. Or for like certain situations. But I'm not going to sit here and do what everybody else is doing. I'm sorry if that's upsetting. And be like, this is the greatest album of all time, and he's the greatest, he's the GOAT. He's the new age GOAT. No, he's not. I respect he's got the streets unlocked. He's running the culture. He's a savant in that. But musically, it's not that great. Let's be real. All right? Stop me writing. Stop going for the meme. Stop going with the crowd. He's not that good. All right? He's not that good. But not a bad album. Even solid. Above average, I'd even say, from Carti. So some good stuff. You just got to go through 30 tracks to sift through what you like. That's what I will say about that. Lil Tecca, it's getting warmer outside, so that's time for him to reappear. And that's exactly what happened, all right? Dark Thoughts, hit again, all right? Tecca is slowly but surely becoming one of my favorite artists. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. He really might have a little bit of the Midas touch, all right? Dark Thoughts, some more good stuff from there. Another good single. And like I said, summertime coming. It's Tecca time. And, he already dropped some heat. So here we are here in March, and Tecca's back. All right, coming one of my favorite artists. Some more good stuff there. But ladies and gentlemen, that was entertainment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. All right, it is March Madness is about to begin. All right, it is about to formally begin. You can claim it already has begun, with the conference tournaments, but it is actually about to begin. And if you see what I have in my hands, maybe you don't, depending on the camera. But we're starting off with the ACC Championship. Okay, we're starting off with what happened there. And listen, Malik Brown, who I don't think should have been back already, and it turns out I was right, dislocated his shoulder. We probably lost Malik for good. And then Cooper Flagg turned his ankle. This happened in both against Georgia Tech. It was the no good, very bad game. Coop sprains his ankle, so he's out for the tournament. He should be back, next week. We'll see if we use him for round 1. But all that to say, despite me thinking that, we'll probably lose to Carolina. No, ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you to direct yourselves to the nearest broom, and I would like you to put your hand right here. I would like you to put your hand right here. And then I would like for you to do the sweeping motion with me, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, hit that sweep with me. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that's 3-0 for Duke in 2024, 2025 against that horrible, ugly, disgusting blue color from Chapel Hill. It's a clean sweep for Duke against North Carolina. And we didn't even have Coop. That first half against Carolina was bliss for me. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and even try to be non-biased. As you can see, it was pure bliss. We 20-pieced them without Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, arguable National Player of the Year, and the best defender, maybe one of the in the country. And we put them 24 points. We were up. Carolina could only score 24 points in the first half. But they did come back. All right. They did come back, and they had a chance to win this game, or at the very least send us to overtime. That's what I was expecting. And then Jalen Withers decided to give us the game because he had a line violation. So now, I don't know if he's been allowed back in Chapel Hill, if he is still here in the 704. It might be better for him to stay in the 704 for his safety, considering this is the second year he has unfortunately screwed North Carolina out of their season. So, I expect them to still make, when Selection Sunday comes, them to still make the tournament. But boy, oh boy, what a way to lose to your biggest rival yet again. 3-0. Oof, it's getting rough out here. But, ACC Championship comes. Louisville's been very good. Chucky Hepburn get a game winner earlier. I think was it against Clemson? No, I think it was the game before he hit the game winner again, right? And then they just came out and beat Clemson. And listen, Hepburn, Defensive Player of the Year this year. Of course, there was an argument. Maybe he should have been Coop. Whatever. He didn't have a great game yesterday, but Terrence Edwards did, and he was on timing. But unfortunately, that's not enough. That's not enough. That is not enough against this Duke team, as Duke outlasts Louisville and wins the ACC tournament 73-62. Edwards had 29, but it was not enough. Kahn had 18 and 8. Tyrese had 19 and 6. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 3-pointers in this game. Sion James had 15. Patrick Ngongba, Big Pat, was great. The way he's developed, he was a force. At times, he was better, and Man ended up being first-team all-tournament. At times, it was like, yo, Big Pat might be better than Man. It's an embarrassment of riches at Duke. An embarrassment of riches. All right, I did not think we were going to win this tournament, and honestly, I really didn't care because it didn't matter, just as long as we get Coop back healthy. And you know what? We went and won. I know people are going to say, yo, the ACC is weaker this year, which it is. All right, it's not the SEC this year. But Louisville's still a very good team. Clemson, if we'd have played them, still a very good team. Carolina, okay. Okay. But still, to beat these teams without your best player and still be able to get it done, it's a testament to not just his team, but a testament to Jon Scheyer and him, again, as John Rottenstein says on Twitter every single week, after every single Duke win, it seems, succession. Real succession, all right? Scheyer was the guy. He has proved it this season. And, this is a special team, man. This is special. That's why I was so upset about, Coop getting injured was my worst fear. But really, Malik getting injured, because this team is special. And that's not me just saying this because I'm a Duke fan. This is a special, special team that can win a national championship. And I really don't want us to waste this as a fan. Because, man, it's been a treat to watch them. So, yeah, Duke gets it done. They win the ACC even without Coop. Khan's tournament player of the tournament. And, yeah, they will probably be the number 1 overall seed when we talk about selection Sunday in a couple minutes for you, but for me, a couple hours. St. John's. All right, St. John's. We talked about them last week. I said they're a team to watch. And listen, they just won the Big East. Patino's got them boys rolling. RJ Luis is that guy, bro. 29 and 10. I feel like every big game we talk about, RJ's got 29 and 10. He's cold. All right, he's cold. He's one of them. Should be an All-American if that's not already been guaranteed. I think he was already on some of the list. All right, 82-66, they beat Creighton, who, of course, were coming the back off of beating UConn in the big, dunk at the end, and Hurley's upset, and all that stuff, and the drama. And listen, Creighton, if you gonna pop your you better back it up. Don't pop your crap in the semifinal against UConn and then get murked here by St. John's. You did a lot of wolfing like you was here to take over, and then you got wiped down. Like, I don't want to hear it. Respectfully, I don't want to hear it. Kalkbrenner held in check here, but it wasn't his fault. Ashworth going 3 for 19 is not going to win anything for Creighton. Not a thing for the Blue Jays. 3 for 19 from one of your best players is not going to get it done. Testament to St. John's and how talented that team is with Kadri, RJ, and of course Ejiofor had 20 in this game as well. But yeah, St. John's, one of my favorite teams going into the tournament. I think them, Florida, and Duke got to be the hottest going in. But before we talk about Florida, let's talk about that Big 12, yeah? Houston gets it done 72-64. Again, model consistency. Samson's is just a model of consistency, Houston is. Houston is what they is. Like, I love what he's done with that culture. Because you just cannot sway them. They are what they are. They're just such a good, tailored basketball team. They defend, they play hard, and they win games. And that will always be dangerous in the tournament, right? And it's why I think I've picked Houston to go very far past couple years. Because they always have this grindy, it almost feels like the Grizzlies. Like that grit and grind Grizzly feel type thing. It feels a little bit like that with a little bit of spice to me. But Uzan big time here. He had 25. Caleb Love had 19. He wasn't horrid in this game, so there's some non-North Carolina slander for this episode. But besides that, Houston took care of business 72-64. It was a little close, but this is what Houston does. They're Big 12 champs yet again. And of course the SEC tournaments. All right, boy oh boy, Auburn. Yikes. They went from national championship favorite to we don't really know what to do with Auburn right now. Got a little banged up yesterday as well, but losing 3 of your last 4 to close here is just not it. That's just not it. That is not it, Auburn. So, big questions to be asked there. I mean, Broome still looked good, but the rest of that team is like, the hype has died. All right, the hype died on the plane versus Tennessee. But even then, Florida. Listen, I know Duke is probably going to be getting the headlines as national championship favorite, but Florida has looked like a complete team. All right, Alex Connon was a menace. This entire tournament was a menace. But in this game against Tennessee, going against Zakai Ziegler, who was having a great tournament, would have been player of the tournament for Tennessee had they won. He had 23, 5, and 8 in this game. Florida was able to come through. They controlled this. Tennessee tried to come back, but just could not catch up. The Gators get it done. 86-77. Walter Clayton Jr. All year, he has been a star for this Florida team, and he was that guy yet again. Another guy that maybe should be an All-American. That conversation should be had. Richard had 17. Alex, again, like I said, has been very solid all year. Gainey did have 24 off the bench for Tennessee, but it was not enough, man. They didn't have Chaz Lanier going crazy. There was no game winners to be had. Zakai did what he could, but it was not enough. Florida has been looking very, very good here, and they look great in this SEC tournament. That was the best conference all year, and they just ran the gauntlet. All right, they just ran the gauntlet. They need to be considered one of the championship favorites, and she'll get that number 1 seed. I think Auburn should fall to a 2. Florida should be elevated there. We'll see what happens. They might both get it, but Florida, very, very impressive performance here in the SEC tournament. All right, we back. Selection Sunday has happened, but we also have one of the games to go through. So before I get to the NCAA tournaments, let's talk about it. All right, Michigan, Wisconsin. All right, Big Ten championship. Trey Donaldson, of course, the game before. All right, hit that game winner against Maryland to send Michigan into this game. Could they get it done? James Tonji has been that guy all year. He has been that guy for Wisconsin. In this tournament, right, he had the big play against Michigan State where I don't know if I've ever seen somebody, like, I guess it's a block technically, or take that chance off of his own missed field goal. But Fears goes to take the long shot 3 for maybe the win, and Tonji made a play on it, so he couldn't even get it off. So hell of a play there, but he was not that guy in this game. 1 for 14 for Tonji as Michigan wins the Big Ten 59-53. What a turnaround for this team. All right. One Donaldson, if I had to give it to somebody, I'd have to give it to Golden. I think the defense, just shutting down, again, a guy who's been one of the best forwards, one of the best players in the country this season in JT. Just shout out to Michigan. That's all I can really say. Goldine, had his moments. Danny Wolf has had his moments. Donaldson, of course, had his moment versus Maryland. But, the way this Michigan team came through and just shut down Tonji really, really got the job done for them in this game. And, Michigan Big Ten champions. Clinches, of course, them a spot in the tournament. Not that they were going to miss it. But, nonetheless, that is where we were. Now, let's talk about the tourney, okay? Very, very quickly. North Carolina made it. Got to play in to make it in, but, last 4 teams, they made it in. Texas as well, so we will get to see Trey Johnson at least play 1 game. So for those people, a lot of questions there. Boise State was, I guess, the quote-unquote team that may have gotten shafted, all right, off of first look here. Auburn did get the number 1 overall seed, which, interesting. But I guess, we were kind of predicting this, ahead of time. But, still interesting to me that, Auburn, with the way they finished the season, gets the number 1 overall seed. But again, doesn't really make too much of a difference. They were always going to get that South number 1. And Duke was going to get the East number 1, which they do. Houston gets the number 1 in the Midwest. And Florida is the number 1 out West, the SEC champions. So, Auburn's number 2 is Michigan State, which is going to be very interesting. Duke got Alabama, which is very, very interesting if that matchup happens with Grant and Cliff and what they can potentially do against the size. As far as like bigs that can maybe match up with Dukes, might be where, might be that's the, area where you could possibly see something there. But, we'll see. Mark Sears, like I've said, I've been saying he's got to be that guy. All right. This is his last go. This is his last dance. He's got to go out with a bang. Tennessee, big conversation was, would it be better to get that number 1 seed? Would it be better to be a number 2 seed? Tennessee gets that, number 2 here. It'll be the number 2 for Houston. It's not a bad spot for them, even though Houston, still some dogs. St. John's, who I talked about earlier. I just feel like they're dangerous. They got the number 1. They're the number 2 seed for Florida. So, gonna be very interesting. But I'm uber high on St. John's right now. I'm just super duper high on St. John's. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Got some interesting 8-9 matchups, like that Gonzaga matchup we got coming up. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. March Madness. I don't know if it's gonna be quite as mad as like last year, or really the past 2 years, where we really didn't have that dominant team, so it felt like it was extra chaotic. Don't know if we're gonna get that, but yeah, expect expect the usual though. Expect the usual. March Madness finds a way. Chaos rules in this time. It will find a way, but yeah, it's one of the best times for sports. So yeah, it's gonna be a very exciting week, and of course, we'll talk about all this and more on episode 242. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup. And headlining the roundup, of course, is F1. It's back. All right, we had the Australian Grand Prix, and it was Oscar's home race, and McLaren is flying. All right, it was flying, but Oscar did make that, he did spin out, but was able to get himself out and was able to build back. So he did get some points. But it was his teammates and championship favorite. If you had any questions, they just got silenced. Lando Norris wins the Australian Grand Prix and starts off where he left off. As that McLaren just all weekend long looks like the best car, which is fun. It's fun because for so many, really the last 4 years, it's really felt like, besides the second half of last year, Max not only is the best driver, but also had the best car and was just utterly dominant. Utterly dominant. And it feels like we're maybe slipping into a little bit of a new era here with McLaren having that dominant car. And Max still, I mean, very much so looking like the best, but he's going to have to fight for this. If he wants 5 in a row to match Michael, he's going to have to fight for this. He does get that P2. P3 goes to George. I mean, just consistent. I think George is really going to flourish as that number one with Mercedes. And it was a great week for Mercedes. Even though Kimi went out in Q1 of qualifying, the man is a savant. He is a prodigy for a reason, and he is most prodigious potentially in the worst of conditions. It was pouring down raining. Yet again, Kimi has a wondrous drive. He goes all the way from winning, P15 to P4 here. Got a penalty against Albano, who, by the way, Williams had a great week besides Sainz crashing out. But yeah, a lot of hope for Williams to be the best of the rest this year. But yeah, Kimi dazzled in the race, showed why he's so hyped, why he got that seat. So yeah, becomes the second youngest to ever score points, of course, behind one and only Max Verstappen. Nobody's going to break that 17-year-old record. Ferrari. Boy, yeah, no, it's we had hope during testing, but it's always maybe next year's the year. It just and Lewis might just be a tad bit washed. Okay, I just want to say it for his standards, for all time great, GOAT standards, washed. Not like he sucks washed, but like Fernando taking a step back, not the best on the grid anymore, washed in a sense. But yeah, Ferrari has some things to fix out here, and we'll see what happens. Yuki looks like he should have got that second RB seat. A very rough day for the rookies on the track. A lot of crash outs. So yeah, we'll see. But McLaren definitely looks like they are the class of it right now. Josh Berry, yes, Josh Berry. Again, I want to say it one more time. Josh Berry won at Vegas. My. Yeah, Josh Berry went to Vegas. Congrats to the Wood Brothers. All right, congrats to the Wood Brothers. Okay, that's huge for them. An unexpected winner, but yeah, Berry gets himself, at least for now, into the playoff with that automatic win here in Vegas. But yeah, it's nice. Honestly, after seeing C. Bell and Larson kind of dominate the first 4 races of the season, it's good to see an unorthodox winner. So you know what? Shout out to Josh Berry. NFL, of course, off season going on. We've had some moves. Free agency opened up. DK Metcalf is now a Steeler. And in return, Cooper Kupp is now in Seattle. So not in a direct trade, but yeah, involuntary, a little bit of a swap there. Of course, Sam Darnold now QB now in Seattle. We'll see how that works out. Jackson Jason has been a very fun Twitter follow. DeMarcus Lawrence is also gone. He was, beefing with Micah on Twitter. I forget where D-Law's going now, but yeah, he was basically just there's culture issues in Dallas, which as a Dallas fan, I already knew this. Already knew this. Not surprised. USC. All right, we hit the men's indoor track and field. By the way, wrestling championships coming up next week, I believe. But for now, we had USC take on and win the men's indoor national championship. Oregon's women, of course, the famed Oregon women of TikTok, they also can run. They also are really like that, okay? They win the women's side, so it's a Big Ten sweep. Again, feels very weird, but Big Ten Pac-12 sweep there with USC and Oregon. USC's been the class, even though JC did not, clean up like I think a lot of people expected, especially after making that world lead in the 60. But yeah, nonetheless, USC's relays come through. Oregon, just a little bit of everything on that women's side. But yeah, good stuff there, good stuff. We'll see if they can continue that into outdoor. NBA, NHL, let's see. Gavin McKenna, crazy streak going on in the CHL. Tied Sidney Crosby, I think the second longest ever right now, like 37 games. Ovi is 8 away from Gretzky's record. NBA, SGA, Joker doing what they do. Cavs finally lost after winning 16 straight. So, yeah, we'll see if they can really make that breakthrough in the playoffs. But that's about it, ladies and gentlemen, for episode 241. Happy St. Patty's Day. Hope you had a great St. Patty's weekend. But, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. Let the madness commence.